Hello everyone, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Devil May Cry 3 on Dante Must Die difficulty. This is mission 7, a chance meeting. What it's alluding to there is the boss fight with Vergil. So this puzzle room here, all you have to do is aggro the knight chess piece, and underneath him is the fragment that you need. Once you collect the fragment, the blue puzzle door will dissipate, and then you could retreat from this room, and you don't have to kill them. But how this works is that with these particular chess pieces, these pawns and the knight, you have to go up to them and swing at them to aggro them. See, there's the piece we need right there. But since we haven't fought these guys, I wanted to at least demonstrate, how they work, how they move around. One of the more unique aspects of this game, I think, are these enemies. I enjoy fighting them, but just like anything else in this game, when they devil trigger, that's when my enjoyment starts to cease and dwindle down. You notice that they go from blue to red. Obviously, red is when they attack. So basically, when you're getting hit, it's most likely because you can't cancel out of your attack quickly enough and roll away. But this is a difficult chapter, and it was one that forced me to do the guide over. I didn't have to do the entire guide over, but I thought to myself, since I have to, pretty much just redo chapter 7, might as well just redo the previous 6, because I wasn't feeling that I was really showing you guys enough examples of what I was talking about. I know I was going into detail about some of them, but I did note that there were some factual errors, and I just didn't think, a guide, on the one hand, it's a little repetitious to do that, but it is better in the long run, I feel. And why is that, you might ask? Well, simply because I have more retrospect now, and I can tell you more that I know, having more foreknowledge of this game. So now with that piece, we're going to ascend. You have a checkpoint. It's going to checkpoint you right in the door when you get up here, and we'll have 3 mandatory fights, which are very difficult because we'll be dealing with a new enemy that spawns other enemies. The new enemy being the Greed. The Greed doesn't have like a direct attacks like some of the other enemies, but the way he summons the enemies, you have to get out of the way or you will get hit by the coffin as he's summoning the enemies. He's got two pretty slow but reaching swings, and he's also got when he rests the coffin on the ground, you can't be in the vicinity of that either until it stops and comes to the ground. I'm going to skip this fight because what they do is they checkpoint you. I believe, you see how these chess pieces, they aggro when you come up to them, so you don't have to actually hit them. They just start aggroing when you move over to them. But this is the first difficult room here. And when we come back in here, we'll have to fight some more of the Greeds. These are the Greeds. See the coffins that they have? They summon lusts, they summon prides, and I think, what else do they summon? I think they summon the sloths too. Those 3 enemies. I don't know about the gluttons. We'll have to see how that works. I don't know if they summon the gluttons. But on these fights here, it's rather difficult because you notice that when they're summoning the enemies, they have a lot of... You see all the smoke? It's hard to see what's actually going on here. So if you have this equipped, the Kalina Ann, you can shoot enemies in a pack and deal some pretty good damage and stun enemies and go in for your kills. After a certain amount of time elapses, these enemies will start devil triggering. And it's just pretty much like I did all of these fights leading up to the boss without using any items. And I'm sure people are kind of annoyed. I really don't know about when I say that I didn't have to use items or I had to use items here. They probably don't care because they just want to enjoy the guide. But there's one person I want to mention that I came across because I was struggling to beat the final boss on Gears of War 3 several years back, and I found this gentleman's video, and it's a very popular video among the final boss fights on Gears of War 3. His name is the Seraphim 17, and from there I saw his other videos, and I saw that he had done a guide for Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and having also played that myself, I was quite impressed that he had defeated that game on Master Ninja, having only beaten that game on hard myself at the time when I saw his channel. But essentially what that guy has done with these games is most impressive, because he's done a guide for DMC 1, 3, and DMC 2013 version. He doesn't have DMC 4 yet. I'm not sure if he'll make it, but what he's done on DMC 1 is that he went through the game without any items, except he used some items on the final Nightmare fight, and also I think the flying sequence at the end of DMC 1, which is very impressive. And then he also did this game without using any items except for the Arkham boss fight. I just actually watched his video last night because I was kind of curious how he was using the holy waters, because I thought he might have been using them on the blood eels. And then he also did the most recent DMC without using any items, and it's pretty much his fault. We're very good friends, and we're quote unquote colleagues in this YouTube game. We have a mutual respect for one another. We don't compete with one another. Why should we compete? I mean, if we compete, I'm the one that's always losing, and I really don't care, because I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm just trying to make some good content on YouTube, and I don't have any delusions of grandeur. But with maybe enough guides, I can hook enough people in to get maybe 5,000 subscribers someday. And I know it's diversifying. I know that it's just that I have to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more. But so every time I unconsciously compare myself to his guides, and I can't help it, and I just a lesser person wouldn't admit what I'm admitting, though, because the gamers are they're not modest at all. But the Seraphim 17, I think his name's Chris, because I've seen a lot of people calling him Chris. And if where was I going with that? He's modest. I mean, he will say to you things like, he's been giving me a lot of guidance on this game, and telling me that with any amount of practice I can get just as good as he is at this game. But honestly, I don't think that I could pull off no items on games like this. But he's a very good gamer, and I envy his skill at gaming. And maybe that's downplaying my own skill a little bit, but it's hard to be objective when you're the actual person trying to analyze yourself. It's difficult. So that's why we gain perspective by analyzing other people, and it's just easier that way, and we can get feedback from other people about ourselves. But some people are on this channel off of his recommendation, because when he reached 4,000 subscribers, he did a video where he promoted my channel, the Godfather Dictator's channel, and a Dark Souls player named Maximum Donut, I think is his name. So I know the Godfather's doing well. I'm not sure about Maximum Donut. I hope he's doing well. Probably playing Dark Souls 2 if I could take a guess. I'm not really sure. I don't like Dark Souls, obviously, but anyway. So if a lot of you are here based on my recommendation, it means that his video was helpful, and I really appreciate that. So I'd like to turn the tables, and recommend you to his channel if you don't know what it is. Just type in the Seraphim17 and you will go to his channel. He's got a lot of good content. So I also ran into... I'm going to change subjects now. Look how long this fight takes, and I realize that I'm not really focusing on the greed too much. I'm trying to build up my devil trigger, but I got a comment yesterday after I had deleted my guide, and the guy... I won't mention his name because maybe he doesn't want to be mentioned, but he said, I knew it was only a matter of time before you remove the DMC3 guide. You really need to stop doing that. And my first instinct was to say, honestly, I was going to say, I'll upload and delete whatever the fuck I want to. Go ahead and unsubscribe. I was going to say that. And I think I actually typed that out, but I thought better of myself and actually, because how am I supposed to know if this guy is a friend or a foe? There's no way to know. He's just a random person on the internet, and maybe he really likes my content, but he was just trying to hit home a truth. And it turns out that he really does like my channel, and he's just kind of annoyed that he was enjoying the guide and he was invested in it. And I can't blame him, and I'm sorry about that, but here's the guide. It won't be deleted. I'll finish this project because I feel like the reason I wanted to say fuck you to that guy was because I felt guilty and bad about myself. And I have no ill will towards this individual. I'm actually, I felt bad about, that I was going to say that, but so just realize, like, when I delete a guide, part of it is because I don't think that people are watching it either, like, and that's not the reason I'm deleting it. I'm just saying that when I say to myself, I'm not really happy with this guide, I don't want it, not many people are like, I say to myself, who's even watching the guide? Because people are watching the guide, it's just that there's no way that I know that they're watching, maybe there's a couple hundred views on it or something, but it's just a really depersonalized environment with the internet. You really, everybody's anonymous. You don't know what's going on with other people in their lives and, what they're doing, what their interests are. So, anyway, that's that, and okay. So I'm sorry I went on this topic. This is just a long video with grueling gauntlets, and this one is a little less grueling than the other one. It's just sloths here, but you always will have those greeds that you need to dispatch first, or these enemies will keep spawning. A couple of other things I wanted to mention. You might notice that I have quite a lot of money. That's not because I've ever been grinding for money. See, I have 204,000. I mean, I've seen people with 999,999 money, and it's just because I've been practicing a lot, and every time I always save my data, and all these fights, there's a lot of deaths, and I keep continuing, and I keep saving my progress every time, because it's fine to save your progress when you're not using any items, because you're not saving the fact that you use any items. You're just saving the fact that you have a lot of red orbs accumulated in all these fights, because it all carries over. So these fights aren't too bad, because the sloths, talk about being able to read the tell of an enemy. They're extremely easy. I mean, this game is really a game to be feared. However, the sins, it's not that bad as I thought it was. And I would not be saying that if I hadn't been practicing a lot in this game. So, now, the boss of this chapter is a different story. I've seen my friend Seraphim17 beat him without any items, and he had less health than I do. His vitality gauge was about 1.5. And I hate having to use items, you guys. I'm sorry about that. But one thing that's extremely egregious about this fucking boss is that old of running to the fucking boss every time you have to die. So what they do is they'll start you in the previous room, and every time you die, you have to start in the previous room by the store. I'm not sure what it's called. The statue, the divinity statue? I think that's what it's called, yeah. They start you by the divinity statue, you go through the door, you have a cutscene which you can skip, and then you have to run all the way to the boss. And it's quite a long run up that little slope. And then there's a cutscene which you skip, and then you start to fight. And I hate that more than anything. And I'm not saying that because of that I'm going to be obstinate and not practice the boss, but I ran up that slope as much as I could tolerate. And then I said to myself, I'll do, maybe I'll take half his life off without using any items, and then I will start using items. Because when I use items, when you start investing in the item usage, like, you do not want to die, because if you die, then when you reload, you're going to have to face the fact that you're going to have to rebuy all that stuff. And the items in this game are extremely costly. For instance, I don't know why the holy water is 30,000 when you max out. It's like when you buy enough of them, and the price increases to the final price it's going to be. It's the same. No, it's the most expensive item in the game, because the gold orbs are only 20,000. I don't understand why a holy water is 30,000. It's a room clearing tool, but not on very hard and Dante Must Die difficulty, to be sure. So anyway, now with that room cleared, we're going to come down here and use the elevator to go back up here. And then we'll have one more fight before the boss fight. I edited out the elevator ride, so you'll come up here and we'll do a similar fight. Now we'll have more greeds here, and after this fight, there's going to be a Hell Vanguard coming into the picture. And if you remember Mission 2, we had to fight her as well. There's nothing different about her except the fact that there is no health bar. You are able to see the health of the enemy when you hold the R1 button, if you have that selected in the menu, but it's really not as clear as an actual health bar on the bottom of the screen. But it's okay. We understand now that these enemies are normal enemies. They're not bosses anymore, these Hell Vanguards. Okay, so what I wanted to say, remember when these greeds here, they'll do two swings. See, like that one? Oh, I missed it. It was off screen. But also when they stomp the coffin onto the ground, that's also when you have to evade. See how he did two swings right there? It's not really an attack. It's just that he's summoning. Maybe it is an attack, but that's not what I read in the library. But the most important thing to note here is that there's not going to be a cutscene when the Hell Vanguard comes in, meaning that if you're holding the L1 button, and then a cutscene occurs, what's going to happen is it's going to forget the fact that you were holding the L1 button, and then you're going to have to keep holding it, and you won't be able to build it up immediately when she comes in. So make sure that when she comes in, you have the devil trigger all the way charged up, and that you immediately stinger your way over to her as fast as you can, and then release it to get some damage instantly off of her. And I did this room many times until I did it without using any items. And I also have... Oh no, I don't have the Trickster on. I'm going to have it on for the boss of this chapter. So, what this room is, as you can see, it is the Prides and the Sloths plus the Greed. So this guy might be the last guy here before the Vanguard comes in. And you notice that I'm charging up my Devil Trigger in preparation for her arrival here. Make sure it's all the way filled up, and once we take care of the Sloth, she'll come in. Remember that that bell sounds 3 times when she teleports and moves around the screen. And you don't want to be at the point where she spawns into the ground. So there's some massive damage off of her. And we're just going to do the same tactics that I was advising you to in mission 2, where you just double jump away from where you believe she's going to be flying, and it can be kind of it's a little luck based. See, like that hit right there, and I think I barely won this fight here, but that's kind of what my channel is about. You know, I have. The Seraphim 17 and I are kind of polar opposites. I mean, our thumbnails, we're the type of people that, and I don't mean to speak for him too much, but like, we're not the type of people that change our thumbnails a lot like other people, because I mean, I realize that there has to be some constancy in a channel and its representation, so I just leave it on there. And the death icon in my channel, it just means that, it means exactly this, that I'm almost dead, but I'm going to try to survive and beat her no matter what. And that's what my channel stands for. It stands for getting past the game over screen. And, you know, he's got the Ninja Gaiden 2 logo, which couldn't be more ironic since I've done 3 guides for that game, and I plan to do more runs for that game. But anyway. Okay, so enough talking about anything besides the game. So now we're going to go on the Moonlight Mile. And here is where they start you. So this is what I was talking about. They start you right here. And you have to skip a cutscene, which I edit out. And then you have to run up here every single time. So I think I have Trickster on, because he's got a sword attack that is easy to avoid if you do an aerial dash. So this guy here, he gives you some free hits if you can stun him. But basically what he does is he will do this attack right there, which is kind of like a sword slash, kind of like a time rifting sword slash. And all I really do is I do the killer bee on him, and if he doesn't guard against it, then I go in for combo hits, and I'm building up my devil trigger. There's going to be a point at which he starts using the swords, but what I did actually, because I have a lot of integrity about my channel, I got all the way here, and pretty much it was an embarrassing fight. And this fight here, I still had to use items, but I could look myself in the mirror after this fight, because even though I had to use some items, I at least tolerated that running up the screen stuff as much as I possibly could. And anyway, these here, that was a bad example of it. I will demonstrate how you do it. But occasionally, like inevitably is a better word actually, when you're hitting him, your attack is going to bounce off of him. And I usually get hit by it, but I believe what I was doing wrong was I wasn't immediately jumping and getting iframes, because the jumping and guarding in this game are pretty much synonymous. Anyway, see how I'm dashing to the left? It evades those knives. And it's a tough boss, because the damage that you receive, it's out of this world. So you could taunt this guy, get your iframes, just realize that when he goes into this mode, you might want to start using the Kalina Ann to destroy the swords. If you can't, just keep double jumping and then evade left or right. Some other options include using the Quicksilver to slow down time. It's a good tool, although you're sacrificing being able to use the Devil Trigger transformation in that case, because when you're using the Quicksilver, you're using your supply of the Devil Trigger, so then you can't do what I did right there. So it's one of those personal preferences that you're going to have to decide how you want to take this guy out. It's not an easy fight. It really isn't. None of the fights with Vergil are easy, and I don't enjoy them whatsoever, and I'm not looking forward to the next two, to be brutally honest about it. So those are the basic tenets of the fight. Just very quickly get the iframes from the jump when he does that slash, because you can't you can't overstay your welcome when you're done with a series of bludgeons. When you're bludgeoning him, and he pretty much decided that's it. He's going to start guarding against it, and you're going to have to move out of the way. So anyway, it's a pretty intense fight. It's the one we saw in the prologue. The game starts in media res, and we're going to be in the belly of a beast in the next chapter. I think it's my favorite chapter, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I hope this helps. If you have any other tips that might aid others, leave them in the comments, because I oftentimes will look in the comments for pro tips from literal pros. But definitely not an easy boss, but I came through. I sacrificed quite a lot of my time to do this because I care about the guide and care about my channel. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Take care, and I will see you in Mission 8.
Don't get so hot.